On our first story, Ghana's COVID-19 case count has risen to 23,463 after 641 new infections. These new cases were recorded in 52 districts across 8 regions. Over 1,400 new cases have been recorded in the last 2 updates from the Ghana Health Service. The number of discharged persons after treatment has also gone up to 18,622, with 4,717 active cases remaining. Of the confirmed cases of the virus, 9,403 were detected through routine surveillance, whilst the other 14,060 were detected from contact tracing.
8 districts did not report any case at this period of presentation. Last week we shared with you our moving average. That is the average 7-day average number of cases that we are getting. We got about 500 and something. Now you can see that there's a downward trend. We hope that it continues that way, but that is still at a high rate that people must continue to do all the safety measures that we have been preaching to ensure that we get some reduction, further reduction in the number of cases that we have reported. This 641 cases based on the backlog has come from the spread that I'm showing you, majority of them from the mid-June all the way till now. And so as you can see, this is where it represents that, so about 65 or so are from 5th of July. But I believe that there may be some samples we tested as we clear the backlog within the same day. So this is what represents the 641 has come out of. We are hoping that once the backlog is cleared, this challenge will be able to get you real-time data anytime to do the press brief. Yes, for the more details, and we take this stage because we want to ensure that people see the environment that they're in and ensure that the risk level, and we hope that will encourage people to buy the etiquette and the protocol that we have given. Of the 388 in Accra, Korle Klottey had 106 cases, Ladi Tupung 78, Accra 48, Ayawaso West 36, Lejoku 32, Tema 30, Lankwantanan 22, Tema West 10, Ayawaso East 9, and Ablekuma, the rest had 4 and below.
We stay on the subject because at least 779 health workers have tested positive for COVID-19, which, according to the joint health unions, is as a result of inadequate PPEs for frontline staff. Now, the unions say 190 members of the GMA, 410 nurses, 156 members of the Health Service Workers Union, and 23 members of the Pharmacists Union make up the number of infected health personnel. 9 of its members have unfortunately lost their lives. Now, the group want governments to regularly supply all healthcare professionals with PPEs to prevent a breakdown of Ghana's healthcare delivery system in the coronavirus season. Now, the unions are urging the governments to do a quick relook at who qualifies to be a frontline health worker, as most of its members that have contracted the virus are not in the frontline category.
This address was by the various unions, health sector unions and associations, professional associations. We came together because our people are suffering. The rate at which doctors and nurses and other health service workers union are getting infected is at an alarming rate. Can you imagine 779 of our members, 150 doctors, 410 nurses. In fact, already we've lost 4 doctors, we've lost 3 nurses, we've lost 3 health services workers union members and all that. And we think this is unacceptable. So we organized this press conference to come out with some of the reasons why these things might be happening and to draw the attention of government and the attention of the public to it that, one, COVID-19 is real. We, the health workers who are fighting COVID-19, are being affected by the virus now. So we needed to make people aware that it is real. So if they allow themselves to be infected by not abiding by the safety protocols, what will happen is that they will eventually bring it to the hospital and will be affected. And if care is not taken, there will come a point when, by the time they come to the hospital, they won't have anybody to look after them, including also people with other diseases won't come in, because most of us will then be in quarantine. And then we wanted to still appeal to government that the personal protective equipment must be made readily available. We should have them in abundance in the hospitals. There are challenges like some of the drugs may, every now and then, we may not have access, or we may not have some of the drugs available every now and then. And that is why we are appealing to government to make sure all these things are there. We spoke about definition of frontline health worker. From our statistics, most of the people who have become infected do not fall into that criteria. And so we're asking government to take a second look at the definition of the frontline health worker. All staffs, all health workers. We thought that it should be broadened out to include all health workers. That is what we are saying. Because the statistics that we have, most of those who have become infected do not fall into the definition of the frontline health worker. So it means there are people who are not considered as frontline health workers and yet are getting infected. And these people are more over and above those who fall into that category. So government must have a second look at the definition.
Now, on the other hand, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, has described the interdiction of the KNUST Senior High School headmistress as unfair and harsh. They say the health personnel assigned to the institution also has questions to answer. Listen to General Secretary Thomas Musa speaking on Joy Prime TV's morning show, Prime Morning.
If you have a disciplinary code and you are ready to punish the worker with top speed, without fail, should the worker go contrary to the rules of engagement, then you, the employer, you also owe the worker a duty of care, of providing him all the necessary equipment, information needed to carry out his work. But if you fail to do that, and in the course of the worker delivering based upon the limited resources and the restrictions and the challenges that the worker has, because he's obligated to obey lawful instruction, if something goes wrong and you think that because you have the right to punish, you quickly go in and you start punishing, then you are not being fair.
So you think they are not being fair to the headmistress?
You see, you are not being fair. Should the resources have been provided and all the equipment put in place, would that thing happen? My question is, what is the nurse doing there? That nurse, what is she doing there? Or he or she, what is she doing there? Why should the nurse not be questioned at this particular time, but it is the head? Oh, they say the head. What about the nurse? So we are saying that, look, it is harsh to the extent that the speed with which the head teacher was suspended. We are asking they should use that same speed to provide all the resources needed to the schools. Because in the coming next week, the unions will meet and take a second look at all that has happened. Because we cannot accept a situation where a nurse is in a school, the teacher has come and teach, and in the course of the teaching, a student was taken ill. You have a student there. Meanwhile, the guideline says that if a student is sick, don't come to school. Right. Is it fair?
Away from education, Associate Professor of Political Science, Professor Ranford Jampo, is worried not enough public education was done on the new voter registration exercise before its commencement. Now, interacting with Roland Walker, Professor Jampo said, while the registration is very important, getting the citizenry well informed about its relevance amid the coronavirus crisis would have ensured that the general voter population adhered to protocols at the centers.
I keep saying that it seems to me that in our part of the world, leadership and policymakers do not seem to understand the caliber of citizenry that they are dealing with.
And why do you say that?
I say that because we are a developing country. Okay, one feature of every developing country that qualifies it to be described as a third world country is that oftentimes that country has a population that is ignorant and uninformed. It's a feature. Okay, so unless you understand the caliber of people you are dealing with, you would only, I've heard the Electoral Commission say that, well, they've done what they are supposed to do, and it's up to Ghanaians to be, the Ghanaians are old and matured enough to be able to know how to observe social.
And you have a problem with that?
And I have a problem
because
with that.
You think the Electoral Commission should not be saying that?
It seems that then they don't understand the caliber of people they are dealing with. The caliber of people that constitute a developing country are not well informed. One of the features of every developing country is that it has majority of its citizenry being ignorant. And so you have to do two things. You have to overly educate and sensitize them. That is number one. And number two, you have to ensure rigid enforcement of every protocol or every rule. But you cannot sit down and say, I've said this, and they know, they are adults. They should know what is right. Maybe maybe they don't understand the caliber of people you are governing. I went to my hometown. At a point in time, I had to buy some food stuff. So I went to those people, fishmongers, along the Komantse Abanzi Road. And they were selling to me. I had to cancel them. Why won't you put on your face mask and all? And they made some funny remarks. Said, what do you mean? We don't have coronavirus here. Coronavirus is only a plague of big people in government. That's what they said. I had to spend time educating. The more I spoke to them, the more they saw me as ignorant. Okay, so you have an ignorant citizenry, most of whom reside in the rural hinterlands. And so if you do not appreciate them, that this is the caliber of people I'm dealing with, then look, whatever you do, you are set to fail.
Professor Jampo also touched on the nomination of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman and its impact on the elections.
So the phenomenon of having an economist who is a running mate is new. Okay, what should be of interest to all of us? I have a lot of respect for Dr. Bawumia, and when he speaks, you can appreciate that he understands the economic issues. I've always argued that he's the only person who is able to explain things better to my understanding. The rest, when they talk, you don't know what they are talking about. You understand? So I have a lot of respect for him. He's an economist par excellence. But if you are looking for a running mate for another political party, you do not necessarily have to say that I'm looking for somebody who will be able to match Dr. Bawumia. If you do that, you miss the point. It's irrational. You should look for somebody who you will say, as for this person, he or she understands the bread and butter issues confronting Ghanaians, and he or she has what it takes to help in translating policies into concrete developmental outcomes reflected in the lives of the ordinary people.
Is that why you wrote just a day ago that the MPP must not fall for the trap of committing political suicide by saying nasty things that may be interpreted as an attack on women? It may haunt them later. A critique of her selection must be based only on issues.
Well, precisely. It's a trap. I mean, somebody has selected his running mate. She's a woman.
Do you think they've already started falling for that trap?
Well, I've heard, at least on social media, and there was one high-ranking one, but of course, unfortunately, the person came to explain that I think he was misquoted or something. But I've heard quite a number of people trying to run her down by making comments that, in my view, can be interpreted as to mean an attack on womanhood. If you do that, and women decide to form a constituency to protect their own, mind you that they account for over 52% of our population. And so if they decide to vote for their own, then you would have shot yourself.
But you also do understand those 52% of women, voter population age, would all vote on party lines.
In fact, so in my subsequent analysis, I've said that even though a lot of women are hailing her appointment, generally women do not vote for their own because of partisan party political reasons. Unfortunately, women in our part of the world, they don't form one constituency. You see, once they form a constituency, they will say, because she is coming from us, we vote for her. But because of partisan reasons, they are divided. So you will hear a lot of women saying that, well, she's an accomplished scholar, she can do it, but because she's not in my party, I can't vote for her. And so at the end of the day, she would have a lot of work to do if she really wants to court the support of women.
Now, JoyNews brings you another season of the Joy Ballot Box. We go straight to Hohoe in the Volta region and link up with MFA Etiamwa Eli, who speaks to the Vice President of the Queen Mothers Association in the Hohoe municipality.
Municipal Council of Queens. They'll be telling me of the expectations ahead of tomorrow's ballot box program. Mama, you're welcome to Joy Ballot Box ahead of time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I am expecting to hear from yourself and your members as women in the region. The elections are getting closer. What exactly are you expecting to tell the political actors about as we prepare for tomorrow?
Oh, okay. As women, maybe with our association, the most expectation is about the peace of the nation, because as we go into the elections, we are more concerned because we are the mothers and we suffer the most when there are tensions and political violence and things like that. So our main issue is about the peace of the nation, and as leaders, we should be more concerned about the peace of our communities, the peace of the nation. Hence, we will be begging both parties, all the political parties, to at least initiate peace processes. The way they talk, whatever they talk about, wherever they go, the peace must be their concern. Yeah.
I believe the women have a role to play in promoting the peace in this election. What exactly do you anticipate as women that you can also do to support the politicians to ensure the peace you're asking of them?
Oh, okay. In our various communities, like our association, what we normally tell them is that they should talk to their community members and then the chiefs, because mostly it's we, the women, who should, promote peace, because when the tensions or the crisis crop up, it's we and the children who are going to suffer. So our main concern for our Queen Mothers are that they should talk to especially the youth, because mostly it's the youth that the politicians use, especially the male youth. They are the most that the politicians use. So we normally talk to the Queen Mothers. That is our priority, because without the peace, we can't go about our duties. Yeah.
Also with her is Mama Gajesi. She's the General Secretary of the association. She'll also be telling us what she expects of the ballot box program tomorrow. Mama, before I come to what your concern is, like Mama Jitri said, you think the issue of talking to the political parties to ensure peace is key, and then we as women, or you as a woman, has a role to play in ensuring this. Is there anything you can add to this?
Actually, she said it all. But the little I want to add is that we want to beg the political parties. Usually they lure the youth. They lure them into some of the things they don't want to do, and they do it. So we want to beg them that this time they shouldn't lure them to what they shouldn't do.
So, assuming a politician comes to you during the campaign to sell their political message, their campaign message to you to get your vote, how critical are you looking at the issue of peace in the campaigns they come to make to you, or the manifesto they even read out to you?
The peace is key. And what we would like them to do is that we don't want them to impose things on us. We want them to do what we like. Probably, for example, they want to bring us water, Already we have water, so we don't need it. So they should ask us, the public, what we need should be done for us, not what they think.
Apart from the peace, is there anything else tomorrow, if you get the opportunity, we have all the political parties represented on the platform. Is there anything else you would draw the attention to?
It's live on JoyNews today with me, Daniel Daze. Coming up next is Business with Daryl Kwao.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. The Ghana Mine Contractors Association is protesting a 500% increase in mining services permit from the Minerals Commission. Local contractors are now required to pay $10,000 instead of 10,000 cedis in a year. Now, they say the Commission's charges would eventually make them poor. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has more.
In the Class A, those in the Class A are actually expected to pay $10,000 every year. Every year, you're supposed to pay $10,000. And these are the benefits. Ladies and gentlemen, the media friends, these are the benefits. If you pay the $10,000 or the $6,000, for the category B, people pay $6,000. While the category A, people pay $10,000. If you fall into any of these categories, these are the things you benefit from. Concessionary rates at customs import duties in respect of plant, machinery, equipment, and accessories as provided in the mining list, imported specifically and exclusively for mining-related activities. So what it means is that if I'm in the Class A and I pay the $10,000, about $10,750 in effect, then you go to the inspectorate division to now go and pay your 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 as deemed fit. So you pay 10,000 to one division, then you pay another 5,000 to be given this certificate. This certificate here.
The contractors say the reviewed charges are unsustainable. Wilson Romeo is vice chairman.
The problem with the commission dealing with the foreign companies, that is not why we are here. Our issue is that now they have classified all of us into the same category as these foreign companies. Some of us, as we sit here, you even struggle to get jobs in the mines. To even get a job in the mines, it's a problem. Aside all these monies they are asking us to pay, their calendar runs from January to 31st December. So even if you make this $10,000 payment in October, by December 31st, your money is gone.
The contractors are additionally required to pay for special permits to enable their employees' work at mine sites. Mr. Romeo says the new charges should be reversed.
In our opinion, that is it. We feel that the Minerals Commission is working against the government. We feel the Minerals Commission is working against the government by collapsing, because trust me, we are not politicians. We are not interested in politics, but we feel that if at the end of the day the government is trying to stop galamsey in the mining areas, and galamsey is right. Up to today, the government is still fighting that galamsey issue. And if the government is doing all these things, and the Minerals Commission is also demanding such amounts from us, indirectly, you are telling us to go out of business, and for galamsey to, at least when we started our businesses, we have pulled a lot of these potential galamseyers from the going, and now they earn decent monies. They earn decent monies to take care of their families and their needs. You understand? They earn decent money. And if we are doing this to help the government solve the unemployment issue, the unemployment gap, and to bridge the unemployment gap, and you, on the other hand, you are also working to collapse our business, then what are you doing? You are killing our businesses.
A report by Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
Now, Chief Executive of the Petroleum Commission, Egbert Febo Jr., has revealed that Ghana's second oil licensing round would delay in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Quite a number of oil firms have expressed interest in acquiring blocks, but Mr. Febo Jr. says the pandemic has made plans uncertain.
The industry had attracted a considerable number of investors after the first licensing round. 13 potential entrants, including BP, Antoil, Shell, among others, visited the data room and were awaiting the next bidding round and limited negotiation periods to acquire blocks in the sector. All of those intentions are in abeyance today as a result of the pandemic. COVID-19 is likely to delay Ghana's second licensing round as government prioritizes managing the domestic impact of the virus and waits for investment conditions to improve. Licensing rounds that proceed in the short term risk receiving fewer or no bids due to low investor confidence. Under the current circumstances, oil and gas investors will likely be reluctant to commit an exploration budget to licensing rounds in the near term due to the economically challenging conditions and uncertainties created by COVID-19. Looking further ahead, the Commission expects that licensing round activities will be subject to significant uncertainties, stemming both from the unknown length of the COVID-19 demand shock and the duration of the current excess supply. Aker Energy was expected to submit its POD in Q2 2020 and subsequently make the final investment decision to commence the project. The Pecan development is valued at 4.4 billion. It's postponed or was postponed in March 2020 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic.
All right, and that's it for business for now. You had the Chief Executive of the Petroleum Commission speaking at a forum to mark the 10th anniversary of the Africa Center for Energy Policy. More coming up at the top of the hour on the marketplace. Do stay.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the sports segment with me, Ori Kwampofo. We start off from some local sports stories where former sports minister Neil van der Poel has launched a scathing attack on President Nana Addo for appointing Isaac Isiama to occupy the sports ministry. Now, according to him, Isaac Isiama is a square peg in a round hole. There's more in this report by Haruna Mubarak of Joy Sports.
Isaac Isiama has headed the Ministry for Youth and Sports since his appointment in 2017. Under his tenure, the ministry renovated the Accra Sports Stadium to host ALCON 2018 and currently doing same for the Kumasi and Esipon Sports Stadia. In partnership with the National Youth Authority, they are constructing 10 multi-purpose sports facilities across the country as part of his efforts to develop the sports industry. Despite these, his predecessor, Neil van der Poel, claims the appointment of Isaac Isiama to occupy the office of the ministry was a mistake.
Government is really killing our sports. And I get offended because I thought that the president was somebody who I have known to love sports. But I think he has a bad choice of a minister. That's a problem. That's a problem. And I must be frank with you. I said it at the beginning that the president made a mistake of choosing Isiama as the minister for sports. If you are choosing somebody like Odote, who understands sports, knows sports very well, it would have been better. Or Titus Glover. They know sports. I know them. You know, he's been an athlete, he's been a footballer before. But the minister was a bad choice.
He added that with the wrong person leading sports in the country, federations are suffering.
Talk to the sportsmen. Talk to the sports associations. They will tell you. Athletes, almost all the other sporting disciplines are suffering. I get complaining all the time. Boxers are complaining. Arm wrestling complaining. Weightlifting complaining. And most of all the sporting disciplines are complaining. If they don't get support from the Ghana Olympic Committee, they don't get support at all. This is not good for Ghana sports. And the government must be told. This government is really killing our sports.
Mr. van der Poel, who is the Member of Parliament for Ododo constituency, headed the ministry between February 2016 to January 2017. He oversaw the construction of the Snitch Sports Emporium, which was unveiled in November 2016. Neil Lante believes the project and many others planned before their exit from power is what the incumbent government is benefiting from.
As I'm sitting today, as we're talking today, weightlifting is the only sporting discipline in Ghana that is seeing some level of, maybe to some extent, maybe swimming. But even swimming, if we have not built the swimming pool at the Bukum Boxing Arena, where would swimming be? Today, Ghana was able to host Africa Zone 2 tournament brought countries, so many countries, close to about 15 or 16 countries to Ghana. That's good. That's vision that we had. Initially, we were going to build only a boxing arena. But we said, no, let's add swimming. Let's add this, let's add that. So, it takes people with vision to build sports for the future. Because sports demands a lot of time, energy, effort, and also thinking. You cannot develop sports on a level of pleasure. That's why people have said that sports is